crude oil falling alongside the broader market today. Not a lot, down 8 cents, but under still $60 a barrel. Iraq tensions, Iran tensions, supply fears, all of them dragging the commodity market deeper into bear market territory. Energy, by the way, from an equity perspective, is now the worst performing sector this month. Names like Apache, Marathon, Halliburton, Schlumberger, all down double digits. But your next guest says investors are ignoring one key catalyst to the oil market. Let's bring in somebody well known to any show beginning with the number 5, Helima Croft, Global Head of Commodity Research at RBC. Helima, what are we missing in oil right now?
I think we're missing what's likely to happen next month. Hopefully we're going to have an OPEC meeting next month where they're going to stay the course in the production cut. And then we really want to watch what unfolds with Iran tension. I think a lot of people just believe it's normal for the Middle East to see what's been going on, tankers being struck, pipelines hit. But what you want to watch is, I think, what happens on July 7th, because the Iranians have said if the Europeans do not find a workaround arrangement for sanctions, they're going to increase their nuclear restart. So they're going to start enriching at higher levels, take us back close to that nuclear threshold. So I think that's an important date to watch.
Did you hear earlier in the show, we talked about the news. They got no attention today, really, because of all the China-Trump stuff, which is this. The Trump administration effectively threatened Europe, the vehicle that deals with Iran, and said, if you deal with Iran, we're going to deny you access to the U.S. capital market. So now Europe is caught between this vice.
No, and I think this is a key story because the Iranians are basically saying they've already restarted enrichment, by the way. They've quadrupled their uranium production. They're about to breach their nuclear agreements. But if they do not get sanctions relief, Iran has seen their exports drop by over 2 million barrels since last year. They're basically saying our economy is about to implode. If we do not get any sanctions relief, we're going to fully restart our nuclear program. I don't think the market is even taking that into consideration. They're basically like, this is the same old news. And this is a very different story we're looking at this summer.
Helima, can you talk about the supply-demand balance and where we've certainly been at times, obviously in the last, 2 years ago, it was very out of kilter. We got to a place where actually we were starting to get to a draw. Historically, we haven't been responding to supply disruption dynamics, but it's clear we are here. So where are we?
The market is actually tight. You wouldn't see that by the prices, but this market is a tight market. We've already seen, as I've said, Iran exports come down considerably since the U.S. announced that we're ending waivers for importers of Iranian oil. We've gone from about 1.3 million barrels they were exporting to now, by some estimates, around 400,000 barrels a day is what they're down to in terms of exports. Venezuela continues to collapse in terms of production. And the demand side has actually held up this year. We've seen record Chinese imports this year. So we're selling off on a fear of China demand collapsing. The dollar, but still, we haven't seen the demand story falter yet.
Helima, what about the U.S. outproducing Saudi? What about the U.S. outproducing Russia? What about if you could script a more bullish scenario for oil? I don't think you could have. You just went down a litany of 6 things that are definitely tailwinds for the price of oil. Yet, maybe we're all missing something. Is it U.S. production?
U.S. production has held up this year, but what we've seen is shale is not Superman. If you have President Trump calling the Saudis and saying, help me out, give me those barrels, that shows the limits of American energy dominance. Part of the problem is the barrels we're taking off the market are medium and heavy barrels. What does the U.S. produce? Lighter barrels. So there is a crude mismatch. Those Gulf Coast refineries that were taking the Venezuelan barrels, the replacement product comes from Saudi Arabia. So if Saudi's not giving those barrels, if Iraq doesn't give the barrels, if Canada has infrastructure problems, the U.S. shale story can't make up for that. And so shale has been a key bright spot for supply, but it can't offset what we've taken off of sanctions.
I'm going to switch gears if I can. I'm going to put you on the spot because I know you can handle it. What you may not know about Helima Croft, Tomb Raider, is that she's a former CIA analyst who was stationed in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And I asked,
are you even allowed to say that?
Yeah, I used to spend time there. I was not an operative. I was an analyst.
I feel like you just gave her up.
We're not valid claim here. No, I was an analyst, and I actually spent time in the DRC.
There you go. She just said it herself. And the reason I bring that up is this fight over rare earths. DRC is where all the cobalt, which if you want an iPhone battery, you got to get cobalt probably from the DRC. How do you see this rare earth fight playing out?
No, I've always said this about the sort of EV story. I've always said, look, the one problem with the EV success story is it's built on cobalt from places like the Democratic Republic of Congo. And so one thing I would say about China is they were fast to get in on the Africa resource story. I mean, they really have won the scramble for Africa.
We gave it away. We had Molycorp.
Exactly.
We had mines. We gave it away. They came in.
We didn't think it was of strategic interest. The Chinese went into Angola. They went into DRC. They basically carved up Africa for their own economic and strategic interest.
Helima Croft, who was never in the DRC and never worked for the CIA. I apologize.
I don't even know her right now. She's not even here.
It's not even my real name.
I don't
Where'd
even
she go?
I'm not walking out with her
it down.
now. I mean, there was a chance we're all leaving again.
Helen
No,
Najarian,
she's on
thank
her
you
own.
very much for joining us.